Hey folks, this is Abrahm with BSA Bushcraft, back at you guys with another video. What we're going to talk about in this video is something different. And in the future videos coming up, I want to talk about things that just have not been done, or you guys hopefully haven't seen. I don't want to go over things that have been talked about 20 times on YouTube or whatever. I want to bring you guys things that you're going to actually learn something and not seen 20 times. There are certain situations when you can go over it because people do it different ways, but I want to bring you guys just different topics altogether. So what we're going to do in this video is take a simple, cheap, easy to come by butter knife and try to turn it into a bushcraft knife. I don't know what your guys' opinion on that is. This is obviously not going to be a $200 bushcraft knife, but you can take a very cheap, it's going to cost you nothing. Everybody's got one in their kitchen. It's made to cut butter and put a nice edge on it. Whether it's going to hold it or not, I'm not sure. Then put a 90-degree spine on the back to scrape your ferrite, scrape fat wood, scrape material, whatever you got to scrape with it. You can scrape it and conserve this edge, especially if the edge will not hold very well. You can at least use the spine to do a lot of the work to conserve that edge. So I'm not sure if this is gonna, be top of the line bushcraft knife. It's not gonna be, but again, you can just go to your kitchen, grab one of these. Very easy to get. This one's got like very cool flower decoration on it, so it's like a specialty butter knife. I don't know, I'm just coming up with things right now, but again, we're just going to sharpen this up, and part 2 of this video we'll actually be testing this out to see how it does. This one has got a little bit of serrations, most butter knives do, and then the rest of it is just flat, pretty much dull, just to cut butter. That's all it's meant to do. Material wise, I've got a cup of water. I'm not sure about these butter knives, how the heat treat is. I'm sure it's not very good because, again, it's a butter knife. But every so often I'm using a machine, I'm using a belt sander, so when it gets heated up, I'll dunk it in that water to keep it cool. After I'm done with this belt on here to get the initial edge, I've got a buffing wheel, which I will apply Jeweler's Rouge or buffing compound to it to put a final edge on it. If you don't want to do that and you've got cheap stones, you just got stones to use, you want to do it by hand, it's going to be a little bit trickier, but start with the lower number because that's more coarse, then make your way up to the higher number, which is finer, and then hit it with a strop and you'll be good to go. Same thing, it's just you're doing it by hand. The next thing I have is a Sharpie, and I'll bring the camera closer to show you guys. I'm going to just draw a line on this butter knife to get the edge, and then as I hit that area with the sander, I will be able to see where that Sharpie is removed to see exactly where I'm hitting with that sander, so I can get a nice consistent edge as much as I can. So what I'm going to do is take this out of the water, dry it off, and then I'll bring the camera closer, draw the edge on where I want it, and then we will start with the belt sander. Stick with me, guys. My butter knife here. So what I'm going to do is make sure it's completely dry. Just taking my shirt here and drying it off because the Sharpie will not write on there very well when it's a little damp. Take my Sharpie. I'll lay this down, and I don't want this edge to go too far up. So I'm gonna it's already got an edge kind of formed on there. So you can kind of go along that. And these serrations, you're gonna eventually sand those off or remove them so they won't be there. Just slowly go around there. And if you want to bring it up there, you could even make this into a drop point if you wanted to, kind of cut that off a little bit, which I might actually do if I want to, just kind of remove that where I'm drawing my Sharpie there. Bring it up close so you guys can see. I might do that. So let that dry a little bit, then flip it to the other side here, and I'll actually hold it up so it's not touching the ground, so it'll dry easier. And then you can just do the same thing on the side. Don't have to be perfect. Just kind of eyeballing this, to be honest with you guys. And then, kind of get that drop point as you want it there. And then the spine here, you would just square that off into a 90-degree angle, and you would be good to go. So I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes. We'll get this belt sander plugged in and get down to it. Just apologize to you guys if this belt sander here is a little overwhelming to the camera. I'm not sure how it's going to be. If when I go to edit it, I may edit the sound out a little bit to kind of adjust for that if it's not that bad, or if it is bad, if it's not that bad, then we won't worry about it. So what I'm going to do is, you need to be aware of which direction this belt runs. On the side, it's got a diagram here showing that it runs straight down, so it's going to run like this. It's not up, it's going to run down. The reason you need to know that is because if it's running down and I face this up to sharpen it, and this is very important, if I face it up like this, it's going to twist this thing around. It's yank it out of my hands, and if it's fairly sharp, or if it's like this, that could even hurt you. So you need to make sure if it's running down, face it down and come across. If you're going up like this, again, it's going to quickly turn this because it's running that direction. So face it towards the bottom and run it across. So let me go ahead and turn this on, and I will remove a couple passes here and show you guys what exactly I'm doing. So far on this thing, and I forgot to mention it, just make sure you guys are being safe with this. Have some sort of eye protection on. I just got my glasses or something to cover your eyes in case something on this flies somewhere you don't want it to and hit your eye. You don't want anything hitting your eyes and getting in your eyes, so just be careful of that. But if you look at it, and I don't know if you guys are, this is going to focus, but you can still see the serrations on it there. That's just the teeth that was originally on it. But you can see where I'm removing the material. Again, I'm sorry if it's not focusing too well, but and I probably will make it into like a drop point type of design. Just make sure once you do this on one side, don't wear it too thin on one side, so don't work all like for like a half hour on one side. Make sure you flip it and do the other side so the edge is, you know, as even as you can get it, because if you do one side, it's going to be way lopsided or whatever. So I worked, you know, probably 2 minutes on that side. I'll put it in the water, flip it over to the other side, work on it a little bit, and you don't want, you're going to develop a burr, but once you flip it over, it's going to take that burr off. I'm going to continue to do that, and once I'm done with this belt, I think you guys get the idea. Then I will move on to the buffing wheel, and we'll talk about that. I want to mention real quick while I'm doing this with the belt sander, if you look on this specific belt sander, this is a Delta, Shopmasters, whatever, but I'm sure most of them are the same way. So this is a Delta Shopmaster. On the back of it, it's got this plate, but right above that, if you push in, I like to do my work on top of that, because if I push right here, it's got no give up against that metal plate behind it. But if you go above it and if you push, you can see it's got a little bit of give, and it kind of forms to the edge as you're working it across there. So just a tip, when I'm doing this, I like to work above because it forms around that edge, and it makes it a little bit easier to get a nice consistent edge to work with on there opposed to that plate. I just wanted to throw that in there for you guys so you know how I like to do it. Again, I like to go above so it kind of forms to the edge of what you're working on. So I've got the belt sanding all complete. I mean, it's got a decent edge from just the belt sander, but it's really going to get a clean finished edge on the buffing wheel, which I'll show you guys how to finish and or start up and finish the blade in just a moment. But as you can see, I kind of put like a drop point type of shape on it. Very simple. I mean, I just drew what I wanted and then just shaped it with the belt sander there. I have not put my 90-degree spline on it just yet. We will do that after we finish the edge up. So what I'm going to do is set this aside. Actually, I can go ahead and set it in the water just for the heck of it. And then I'm going to get my Jeweler's Rouge. This is just white compound here, white buffing compound or Jeweler's Rouge, whatever you want to call it. But I'm using white because it's the finest that I have. I'm going to go ahead and plug my buffing wheel in, unplug my sander. And what you're going to do is start it up. Get it spinning. And once you get it spinning, it kind of calms down a little bit. I'm going to take this and let some of that compound work into the belt. So just hold it there. You can see where it just ate the compound right there. That little divot created. And then what I'm going to do is, again, you got to be careful of the direction of the belt. It's just running in this direction, so you want the blade pointing down, and just run it across there. You've finished up the buffing of your edge here. Let me show you guys what I have. See the tip of it there? That's what the buffing wheel will do for you. Very easy to do, as long as you've got obviously the buffing wheel and belt sander. It's a pretty easy job to pretty much get any shape you want of the blade. Now what I'm going to do is put a 90-degree spine on the blade. I feel kind of weird, to be honest, calling it a blade, because it's just a butter knife, and I'm not used to a butter knife, you know, possibly being a cutting tool for bushcraft, survival, or whatever you want to classify it as. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and basically what I'm going to do is hold it like this across here and run it to put a 90-degree spine on it so that we can scrape and process materials. It's the end result to our butter knife bushcraft blade. Possibly. We will find out on the next video. I will be taking this out to do a test on this like I would any other knife for the most part. Of course, I'm not going to beat on it too much. I'll, you know, baton a little bit with it, which is a very controversial topic there, but I'm going to do it anyways because I want to. And we will do some carving with it to see how it does, see how the edge holds up. I mean, again, it took a nice edge. Look at it there. It's got the cool handle. I may have to do something with that handle. I have a feeling that when I go to use this, because it's so small, that it's going to want to rotate in my hands due to the fact there's really no thickness in that handle portion there. But we'll address that, and just to show you guys, I don't have paper or anything right now, but I don't know if you can see the fingernail. You can see the fingernail there sticking. So I mean, it's got an edge on it, so it took an edge pretty good for a butter knife. Again, when you're doing this, make sure that you keep it in water to keep it cool, so you're not going to script that heat treat. If, again, I don't know if there really is one. If you look on the blade here, I don't see if we can focus. It's stainless china, so it's a china steel. But again, it's a little bit of fun of a project if you guys have the materials to do it. Go grab you a butter knife from the kitchen, sharpen it up, and next week, or in the next video, we will see how it works. This has been Abrahm with BSA Bushcraft. If you guys enjoyed this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment below, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Have a good week.